You and this person are both actively manifesting each other with the magician. This is an energy of they are looking for ways in order to create progress between the two of you. This is somebody that is very excited for what the future holds. They are not sitting in a passive energy. This is someone that actually may be using law of attraction, law of assumption to make sure that the internal climate within them matches opportunities outside, that you take things at a pace that is realistic for the two of you, but also that this situation is pushed forward in a vigorous way. Because this is somebody that doesn't need more time to sit and think about things. It feels like this is somebody who has definitely, as much as they've been interacting with you, they've also been sort of like looking at the situation from afar. This is somebody that has looked at this situation from all angles. They have done that soul searching. They have entertained fears momentarily. This is somebody that has chosen the path of belief. They have chosen the path of love with you. So, as much as you want something more in this circumstance with them, they want this just as much as well. You actually may be feeling this person's energy a lot because you're like thinking about one another at the same point in time. You are both tapping into that higher potential between the two of you. And anything that has not been sort of stated out loud, has not been defined between the two of you, that is still in the process of building, it's still in the process of happening in real time. This is something where you and this person are very aligned with how much you want this, what that idea of forward progress will look like, what needs to happen next in order for there to be certainty on your side of the equation, on their side of the equation, that you are moving in tandem in the same direction. It feels like this person, they can probably feel your energy as well. For a lot of people, again, this is somebody using law of attraction, using law of assumption. They are feeling into your energy, which is already kind of being felt around them. They don't have to reach too far. They are able to sense your desire. The energy is flowing where the attention is going. There's a higher self connection between the two of you, and steps are being taken in the 3D in order to bridge that distance between the higher realms, the higher self, and the material world. And so, this is somebody that is actually working with you in that higher spiritual plane in order to bring forth into real life, into real time, that connection that fits both of your needs, requirements, desires, any conditions that exist in the material world that may determine sort of like what the next step would look like, what a long-term connection would look like, any kind of like waiting period as far as other obstacles that need to kind of clear out, or anything where you're navigating beyond paths of fear or uncertainty as you are diving headfirst into this circumstance together moving forward. This is somebody that is actively like co-creating that with your higher self, as you may be doing with their higher self. So it feels like the two of you are very in sync at this point. You are very in alignment with that mutual desire, and something that isn't just like, well, who's going to say something first? Who's going to start that conversation or take that next step that like makes things more permanent or more official? This is somebody that recognizes like they don't just want to kind of get to the next stage with you, but this is somebody that wants to like build a deep partnership, a lasting partnership in the material, but also on that energetic plane. And so this is something that at this point in time, it feels those higher self energies, those are the most accessible, those are the most fluid. That is where there is the most kind of proof of progress, as they are trying to manifest from that space, and then it translates into material occurrences between the two of you. Things where they are reaching out for you energetically, and they are recognizing material shifts either within your receptivity to them, or even kind of like steps you take towards them, things that happen in conversation. It's almost like somebody that doesn't want to speak on it directly at this point because they don't want to interrupt the magic at play. They don't want to kind of break the stride, break the momentum of what feels to be a very unique manifestation process that is happening between the two of you at this point. Because again, this isn't somebody that's just like, okay, let's get to the point when we're intimate with one another, and then we'll kind of just float around in that space. This is somebody that sees long-term potential with you, and they are putting in that work to make sure that they are prepared and they are ready for whatever is in store, like all the beautiful things that are in store, without letting their own shadow, their own insecurities, and their own fears kind of clutter that or get in the way. And they are sensing that you are going through some kind of process as well of creating space to welcome this person more fully into your reality, ways in which you may be having to kind of strengthen your patience, or even become more assertive with them. If things are not moving along quickly enough for your preferences, this may involve like boundaries that you have set up that have been felt, experienced by this person, energetically or actually, that is helping them to kind of fine tune their approach to you. This is somebody that wants to continue to build. They want to continue to move forward with you. We also have the Emperor and the Empress. So this person sees you as their perfect match, their divine counterpart, their soulmate. Some people may be comfortable with the idea of twin flames, or something that just like feels right. You are that person that they have been kind of like waiting for, they've been searching for. Something inside of them, it feels like, has clicked, that has let them know, hey, this is something that feels like it has a lot of potential for success to it. Action steps that I take in order to show up for you in the 3D world, even if it's just like holding space in silence, while other things are going on in both of your lives, or times where you've made progress forward and there's like a need to sort of sit in that, adjust to that, move through the energies of, maybe even kind of like fears or other sort of assumptions that you had about kind of what love would look like, what partnership would look like, who or what you are navigating toward, versus the reality of like who this person is, how this connection has materialized for the two of you. Or it's almost kind of like clearing out the clutter of outdated programming, energetic blocks. It feels like there's a lot happening kind of on the deeper levels between the two of you. It's not just sort of like, okay, we're going to start to talk about other things, or we're going to spend more time with one another, I'm going to open up emotionally. But this person is very aware that there's like an energetic or spiritual process that is also taking place, which helps them to recognize this as a very divine connection, a very high vibrational connection, something that holds a lot of possibilities to not just be like, happy couple, happily ever after, yay, we found someone, but something that almost like anchors in a higher potential for love and romance, accessing interaction between themselves and between you, focusing on that sort of like higher plane, that higher potential, the higher self realities as that trickles down and is experienced between the two of you in the flesh, in the 3D. There's a lot of certainty within this person that no matter what the challenges are, no matter what kind of the next step looks like in your process with one another, they are fully invested within this. And if progress is slow or halted in the material sense, this isn't discouraging this person or stopping them. It's like, oh, no problem. So we're just like having our interactions in the higher realm. So it's time to build in that sort of like higher self arena, while we wait for circumstances to change, or for there to be like opportunity for the two of us to have some sort of substantial step forward in the material world. Even in times, where it may be sort of like the connection plateaus, or, again, there's like distractions, busyness, other things that kind of pull you both in different directions. This person's thinking a lot about you. They're connecting with you. They feel your energy with them. It is not hard to access your energy. And this isn't because this is something where they're like, seeking that out, or trying to kind of like tap into that in some sort of way, without your consent and without your permission. This is something where it's like, when I go into that higher self polarity within me, when I reach up beyond the flesh, beyond the material of who I am, who I've come to understand and know myself as, I find you there. I find your energy there. Your energy comes to me, even if there's silence between the two of us. I go towards you, energetically speaking, and I am received the fullness of your capacity to do so. At the times where I feel that there is like a solidness to that, I respect that as a boundary, and I step back and take in the fullness of what that moment, what that experience has to teach me. This is somebody, it feels like, that has become more spiritual, more spiritually aware, or more spiritually focused since they connected with you. Things that might have just been concepts before, like twin flames, soulmate, higher love, higher level connection. This is something that it's like they're experiencing that in real time, not as a concept, but in the trueness of like what that is, in the reality of the fact that it's like, yeah, we're having our 3D experience, but there's something kind of mysterious going on as well. There's something otherworldly going on as well. There's something energetic going on as well. When I connect with you, I feel that mind, body, and soul connection. It is not just my physical body responds to you, or intellectually I find you stimulating. Emotionally, I find you pleasing. I find you pleasing to the eye, but it's almost like another layer of themselves is magnetized towards you. Like you are that perfect pairing. It fits very well with kind of like this version of themselves that they have cultivated, and also who they are experiencing themselves evolving into. Maybe even through the contemplation of kind of the spiritual side of this connection, anything that has really increased or maybe even started for the first time in terms of like law of attraction, law of manifestation, law of assumption, anything like that that they've started to do as far as this connection is concerned. It feels like that is sort of opening them up to the possibility and the reality of themselves as a more expansive being than previous romantic connections had kind of caused them to focus on, or even sort of like their life at this particular point in time that was sort of the central focus. As it feels like this person might sort of, with that energy of like emperor and empress, this is somebody that has all their ducks in a row. They built their kingdom, they built their empire, they're satisfied in their life. Yeah, there may have been kind of like goals they were reaching for, things that they wanted or desired, but it was nothing where they were kind of like, let me use law of attraction to kind of like call that in. Let me use law of assumption to align with the inevitability of that. But now in this circumstance with you, it's kind of like you are fitting in with my desire for long-term partnership, for true partnership. And it's not that they need to kind of like employ sort of spiritual tactics in order to be able to, connect with you, or to call this connection in more fully. But there's almost something that instinctually kind of is leading them in that direction, because they see that this is an extraordinary connection. There's nothing ordinary about what they have experienced with you so far. They want this just as much as you want this, but they don't just want it in terms of like some kind of conquest, the trophy experience of kind of like, yay, okay, well, we went all the way, we consummated our connection, we became a couple, we attached titles and labels to it. They want something like beyond that. This is somebody that it feels like they see like long-term future with you, marriage, long-term partnership, and it feels like there's some kind of instinct that lets them know in order to experience like the fullness of that, or to kind of actualize the fullness of that potential, it involves building in the spiritual as well as in the material. This might even be something that is helping this person to be kind of patient with times where forward progress is sort of stuck or slow. Maybe fears or insecurities are triggered within you, or even triggered within themselves. They are kind of like taking that wider lens perspective at this point, and they're seeing that it's all part of the process. Every time you both pull away from one another, when you come back towards each other, energetically or actually, it's almost like you're able to connect in a more potent manner. You are able to connect on a deeper level. It's something that it feels like you're building in silence in your own ways. But then when you have those experiences of, kind of closeness leading toward 3D union, all of that starts to make sense now for this person, that like there's a bigger spiritual process or mechanism at play, which it feels like is what has sort of sent them on the hunt, on the search. And they've resonated with like twin flames, soulmates, higher level soul connection, just a lot of things that weren't part of their sort of like vocabulary before, the things that they were focusing on before. It makes sense with you because they're experiencing it. Yeah, we also have the Hanged Man. So this person, it feels like, is trying to be very patient as far as not rushing the process with you. They recognize on some level that for every step you take towards one another, it's almost like there's a period of having to halt, having to hold still, because there are like energetic sort of residues from, you know, maybe other soul connections, other potential timelines that you are both no longer going to anchor into your reality because you're moving in unison with one another towards this shared experience, toward this kind of goal of a relationship, a goal of union that you are both actively, consciously, in an aligned way wanting to manifest. They want the same thing as you do. So, unlike connections in the past where you had been maybe trying to manifest a specific person and it wasn't coming into fruition, it's because you both had different sort of ideas of what happiness would look like. You weren't both manifesting each other. It might have been you doing all the heavy lifting, and the person you were dealing with was trying to call somebody else into their reality, call a different version of happily ever after into their reality. So it didn't work. It wasn't successful. It is not here in the 3D sense as far as like physical union. With this person, though, you are completely aligned. They want you just as much as you want them. And rather than just focusing on kind of like raw potential and not taking into account the reality of the situation, it feels like this person is respecting the process at play because there's a sense of like reaching for an ideal, but then also recognizing there's a reality that takes place between the two of you. So this is somebody, it feels like, that is allowing those kind of like energetic blocks to sort of like be recognized, come to the surface within them. You know, they're not running from these blocks. They're not running from these fears. They're not running from these insecurities. For some, they're kind of just like sitting still until the storm passes inside of themselves. For others, it's kind of like, okay, here's an urge to stand still or to run, so I'm going to charge head forth through that. I'm going to bust my way through that obstacle so that I don't lose sight of what is important, which is you and this connection and where we are headed together. It could also be something where they are sensing kind of like energetically, or even in ways in which, you know, you might get kind of triggered. You might sort of pull back. There may be little things they're able to infer based on how you're showing up or how you're communicating, or just something they can sense energetically where they're honoring your need for space. As much as you are kind of like excited you want this, there are also energetic blocks within you, timelines that are collapsing, illusions of what love or partnership would look like, or even people you'd tried actively to manifest in for a long time and it never came into fruition, that still occupy like an energetic, like a thought form, like a space within your energetic field that is this person, this real person, this 3D person that wants a connection with you just as much as you want a connection with them, as they assert their energy and their presence more into your life, more into your energetic field, like you're merging with one another. It's almost like their energy is kicking these other energies out. Their energy is holding space as you are consciously sort of turning away from the things that never materialized, from the happiness that was always out of reach, as you imagine that it could be with another person. So you can grasp this opportunity right here and now with this person who is showing up for you in real time in the energetic realm, who is thinking outside of the box as far as like, we're going to make this work. We're going to make this partnership happen. Not just, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to tell you kind of the fullness of what I hold in my heart for you, but also something where this person is very consciously looking at this as a spiritual connection, and they are anchoring themselves into those kind of higher plane, that higher dimensional sort of energy, that higher experience between the two of you, and allowing that to be their guidance system, allowing that to help them kind of navigate rising up beyond limits within themselves, holding space while you rise up beyond limits within you, so you can keep evolving, so you can keep taking steps upward and forward to that place, that right time, right place moment where the actual 3D physical union between you is meant to take place. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.